One.
Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for October 4th, 2019. I'm Dave Slusher, joined with Andrew Barnes and Chuck Tomasi, and we are going to have a hoedown this week. Oh my goodness, is it going to be fun? All right. So we are kicking off Spoketoberfest. We'll tell you what that is in a moment. But first, gentlemen, let's go around the horn and introduce ourselves. We'll do it in alphabetical order, starting with Andrew.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Andrew Barnes, developer advocate at ServiceNow. Just over my 1-year mark here at ServiceNow. Just over 5 years on the platform. Been doing this for a long time. Specialties are update sets, doing custom application development, and really any of the platform toolings. And I'm just delighted to be here today with my New York background, with my New York shirt on. Got my New York shirt on. Ready to go. And to you, Chuck.
Hey, my name is Chuck Tomasi, Senior TPMM at ServiceNow. Been at the company over 9.5 years. Coming up on 9.5. I can't keep track. It's a long time in terms of ServiceNow years. Was a customer for a couple of years before that, specializing in custom applications, integrations, and the platform in general. So very excited about this month's topics.
All right, and I'm Dave Slusher, also developer advocate on the team with Andrew. Anything you need from the developer program, go to developer.servicenow.com, up to and including your own copy of a server. Hopefully, we're probably going to get out to a few other people. So if you don't know anything about ServiceNow development, that is the place to begin. All right, developer.servicenow.com. I've been in this role, just had our 4-year anniversary while we were in India. We had if we had one show, it was like early in September. Andrew and I spent most of September traveling the world, and we're back. And we are here for Hacktoberfest and our particular spin on it, which is Spoketoberfest, which again, I will talk about in a second. But first let us not forget the business.
All right. The business is Fortnite Carolina Amber. So Fortnite is a North Carolina brewing company in Cary, North Carolina, and I am also in North Carolina, and so I'm going to have me a Carolina Amber today.
All right, Chuck.
I've got the Jacobson Approximation. This is a home brew from a friend, brewed May 25th, 2019 in Glendale, Arizona, bottled June 8th, and approximate ABV is 4.51%. That's pretty precise for an approximation. And I don't know if this is
there's too many decimals there for approximation.
It's in a brown bottle and it tastes good, so I'm going to go with that.
I have got the Sugar Shack from 3rd Street Brew House, which I'm just looking at the label. Apparently it's from Minnesota, and it seemed like a good fall beer, other than the fact it's 95 degrees here today, which is not really that fall-y or that.
It's not very fall-y
I
today.
can see through the can.
So that will be that. I will try. And this is, I don't even know, this is a 16-ounce can, and I'm going to be driving today, which means I probably will get like a sip and a half in the next hour. But anyway.
At least it's not frozen today.
Yeah, I took it out. I actually gave it a thaw. My beer fridge needs help. So what we're doing today is we're doing two things. We're going to work at creating some actions for a Linode spoke. So we're going to create an IntegrationHub spoke so that we can create some fundamental actions that allow you to use in Flow Designer to connect to Linode. So hopefully, like over the course of this hour, we'll be able to do some basic things like list the regions, list the images, and spin up a VM. That's my goal, is that we can do that in this hour. Now,
and so that's the goal of today's, but overall, we're launching Spoketoberfest,
correct,
which is in concert with Hacktoberfest, which we've done the last 2 years, where you contribute at least 5 pull requests to open source projects. And we've decided this year to focus on IntegrationHub spokes, which is how we do nowadays, how we do integrations with ServiceNow is through these reusable IntegrationHub spokes. And we've listed out on the developer site, developer.servicenow.com's blog, 25 suggested spokes for people to get started on, created empty repositories for them. And we're accepting both maintainers for those repositories, as well as anyone who would like to contribute to those. And so today's goal is for us to show what that looks like, so we're going to start by creating a Linode Spoke, which is a ServiceNow scope to build this integration.
Right. And so because of all that, we're going to have a little bit different dynamic, which is that at 5:15, success or failure, working code, not working code, we're going to stop and we're going to do the commit part and show you kind of like what all that mechanism looks like, because not just the code, but actually the committing it back to GitHub and the creating a pull request. And so ServiceNow, by its fundamental nature, is not super friendly for working with GitHub tools. So we're going to show you a little of how to do that, right? And we have had to create some extra stuff to help that. Right? Because underneath the hood you've got checksummed XML that ain't that friendly to doing merge requests. And,
you think
it is not.
Okay.
It in fact threw me some anger today, even with some things I was trying to do with those.
Let's go ahead and tell the story because it's super fun. I'll get my stuff ready while you do that. So you tell the story while I share.
So the whole repository is checksummed, not just where the application files are stored. And I was putting in license files, and GitHub has got a very nice process. If you create a new top level file of the name capital license, it'll actually like prompt you for templates and allow you to adjust the templates, and and shows users some little icons of which license you have if you only have one like that. Obviously putting that in there, since we have a checksummed repo, it is no longer passing the checksum, and then therefore ServiceNow refuses to work with it anymore. So I actually had to create script includes that the only thing in the script include is the license. Because that was the best way to get a license file into the repo with the checksum. And it made me very sad, but
it was a
bummer.
What I did. Andrew spent the morning putting the license files in, and then we spent the afternoon taking them out.
Taking them right back out again.
should put a caveat. That's the way it works today. Not sure.
I mean, that's how everything is that's how things are at this moment.
Right.
Alrighty. So we'll go ahead, and I've got my share going, and let's start. Let's show. What I've got here is we have actually, let me even show in the repo up on GitHub in our ServiceNow dev program, we have created a bunch of these. These are the nominal repos that we were talking about just a little bit ago. And so we have a bunch of seed repos that we have started, including the one that we're working on here. So I have taken the Linode. I have actually forked it to my own account. That's what we were looking at just 1 second ago.
Cool.
So what is the GitHub connection of my application on my instance is my fork. So it's not the main one, it's my fork, okay? So you can see that this is forked from, and it's pretty small, but I'll blow it up a little. It's forked from the main one. What we're gonna do is we're gonna work on this. I'm gonna commit it back to my fork, and then we're gonna submit a pull request when we're done. So let us, from there, that's kind of the overhead, and we got like 37 minutes ish to see if we can get some Linode
something useful to commit.
All right. So come over here, and I've got my basic seed Linode application. So
those old folks are going to need a bigger font there, Dave.
Oh, wait, let's get me into Flow Designer first. So actually, and you know what? I'm just going to open Flow Designer this way. It doesn't really matter. Uh-oh, have we timed out of my... Oh, wrong one. Never mind. Oh. The classic ServiceNow problem.
Working in the correct instance.
Wrong ServiceNow instance. Let's go ahead and we'll do this one. I'll start Flow Designer from this guy. Make sure I'm in the correct one. Make sure I'm still logged in. Okay, Flow. So we're going to open Flow Designer.
So I did put the links in the chat, but if you go to developer.servicenow.com and go to the blog, you can get to the description of what we're doing and the links to the repo, which has the extra details. Like,
I don't think your links came across, Andrew. Links typically don't go through YouTube chat.
Oh, well then.
They might be held in moderation. You might.
Yeah, I can moderate them out.
Yeah. All right. Let's waiting for Flow Designer to load on my instance. There we are. All right. I'm going to create a new action. And I've got a bunch of and let's make sure that we put it in the right scope, which should be Linode Spoke. It's a scope we want. And let's start with, there's a couple ways we can do this. I think I'm going to just go for broke here. And in our, I've got a bunch of the Linode information here. There's a few things that I have never played with, and we're going to, I think, play with for the first time, which is I've never built one of the dynamic choices. And so when you create a Linode, like when you take a Linode instance and you want to create like a running VM, there's only two there's only two required fields here, which is the region and then the type of it. Basically like the machine size and the region. And it will even like pick a default image, I think. And I'm not sure if the default image is based on your account or if it's based on the type, because not every, the type is like the size. It's kind of like the equivalent of an AWS, you know, the CPU and storage type that you create. So I think it might be a default for the type. It doesn't even matter, right? So if we pick these two fields, then that's enough to do that. I think what we can try to do is even create the inputs via these guys right here.
We have an open API. Woohoo!
Yes, we do. We have open API. So what we're going to do first, let's go ahead and just create. Let's call it create VM. See that I'm going to go ahead and this is actually a design consideration. They call them Linodes. I'm going to call them VM. I don't know if I should use their terminology, but honestly, their terminology is a little bit funky because it's not as obvious what that means. So I'm just going to go ahead and call it create VM.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do, we'll create inputs. And for right now, we'll just create the two region, which is a string. We'll make it mandatory. And let's create type. Now there are a bunch of things, and eventually what we'll do is map all these guys over there. So probably not all of them. We might hide some of them. But if we look at the, you know, so authorized keys, we're not going to do a lot of this stuff. Like you can give it a SSH key, and there's a bunch of stuff that you can give it. We're probably not going to give it most of these things. You could give it a label, which we might want to do. You can give it a lot of these options. For right now, we'll just keep it simple. There's like 20 options. I'm not going to expose 20 options to the flow because that'll be too complicated. Now, can I make this a dynamic input? Or do I do that to the step, or do I do that to, let's see, dynamic. See, I might not be able to do that to the action.
Yeah, I don't think you can declare that the input to the action to be dynamic, because where would it come from?
Yeah. Okay, I'll figure that out later. So let's start with the rest. And so I really, really am looking forward to this part. All right. Yeah. So we want to use a connection alias, and then where do I build it from Open API
spec.
Yeah.
And come over to, where's my open?
So this is new.
New York.
This is new in our latest version, New York, that we're working in today. So using open APIs to help accelerate the
where's my flow?
The crafting of these REST messages and methods. We're trying this out live, folks, because that's what we do here.
And I've completely lost my flow designer window. Where the heck did it go?
Your command tilde, it should be in there.
Yeah.
Not in there.
Is it in the other one?
Where did you go? Little flow window.
Where did it go? All right, I'll find it in 1 second here. Or maybe I'll do it this way. Flow.
You do have a tab
there
called Flow Designer.
Yeah, that's. I was thinking that had popped out as a window, but
I thought it did too. I think originally it did, but you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So API source.
And are we on the right
import?
Instance? Empty?
Yes, we're on the empty Slusher is the one we want. All right. So we want to download from URL.
Yeah.
That's the Open API specification.
Okay.
Does not take a username or password.
Based on some of these too.
Which is up to them.
Cannot parse this. Oh no!
Because it's HTML. Why isn't that working?
Why is it not working? Supposed to be able to Except
I haven't done the URL one before. I've just done a copy and paste.
Let's
one.
get the file and paste it.
that I can do.
Maybe something formatting on the page. Just
there
our
might be a
parser doesn't
content
handle
type or something.
All right. So this is
you've got it
I've got
in your
so many-
clipboard.
yeah.
You can just paste it. And
well, what it's going to do is download that. Let's open it with Visual Studio. All right.
Did it have any funky characters or anything? Come on.
I don't know, but it's actually popped up on a different window. So let's
drag that over here.
hold on one second. Zoom is in the way, as it often is. All right. Let's see if there's something in here. So this is a pretty monster file because there's a lot of API here.
Okay.
Let's see. It may have the same problem. Cannot parse the specification. Reason attribute info contact.
let's at least search for that one and see if we can see if there's something silly. There's multiples.
Contact info contact.
It must be like a JSON thing. So you're gonna find contact.
This Earl right there.
Well, that's wacky.
Let's see if it will take it
Without that.
if I just give it nothing for the Earl.
Oh.
Reason attribute info
context
Now
null.
it's null.
All right. Here's what we're gonna do.
But Dave, I don't know.
This is absolutely, once again, not the problem I thought we would have. All right. So we're gonna go do this. I'm gonna give it an Earl.
Sure.
Please be the only problem this has.
Yeah, we don't.
Oh, that's chugging. Oh,
I like it when it takes a little longer.
It reminds me of when somebody gives you one of those open source projects and you got to download a whole bunch of packages to get started because you keep running into these errors. Like, oh,
all right.
Don't have that. Oh, now there's a syntax error there with my compiler. Come on.
That is a gratifyingly long. Now,
Yes.
however,
It's still going.
it's easing towards unsatisfyingly.
okay, look at that. Open API.
There's a success message.
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
That's a drink. That's a drink.
Big
All right.
drink.
I'm gonna pause right here.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, this is good. I'm gonna pause again.
Satisfying.
Uh,
Okay. The API
Okay,
source
now-
says Linode API 4.5.0, which is really good. Now show them the good
Now
part.
look at
and
this.
Look at that. There
All
we go.
these
We've got all
resource
those
paths.
operations available to us now.
And
look
all
how many-
that came in.
Yep.
Watch the Ajax pop. There's so many in here. That's part of why it took so long, right?
Oh my god. And
There's
if you
something
choose
like-
any of them, it'll populate the method, the query parameters, the header
Right.
parameters. All that stuff is in that Open API spec.
So
That's the
create
beauty here.
lineup. This
So-
is the one.
All of you
Create
API, endpoints out there, ServiceNow will integrate with you more
That
likely
is-
if you've got an Open API specification because it makes it easy for us.
All right.
Freaking
So
awesome.
now we've
Now,
got
what do you do
this
with
guy.
this? We don't have the actual spoke action things built yet, but we could build them one at a time because that's been stored somewhere, right?
So this is, you'll notice that we've got all
I
this
actually
kind of
don't
stuff
know
here.
if that's stored somewhere that I can.
You
I
don't
don't
have to
know.
rebuild that for every action, though.
I believe at this point. So let's put a pin in this. We can leave this action right here.
We'll save
Let's
it first.
Let's create a. We don't even have to. But wait, let's go ahead. We'll save it before we leave. We'll just leave it right there.
Save it and then try creating
Hopefully-
another action that like list nodes or whatever it was.
Yeah. Hopefully that will. I've got a minimal savable.
I want to know if
Okay.
that's stored all of
I'm-
that parsed information somewhere. It would have
We should
to.
now see. Let's say list line nodes. And now again,
in
ensure it's
the
the right
Linode
spoke.
spoker. Yep.
And let's just, it has no inputs. So
Right.
let's do a REST
Do that.
message. And
And-
so now actually connection alias.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to do this every time from Open API specification?
But
No.
can we choose.
We can just do this
There we
already
go.
imported.
Bam.
It's already imported.
There it is.
Nice.
So we can just use this
Okay.
every time we want to. So
Yes.
list.
Import once, then just pick the ones you need.
That's some victory right there.
So we're looking at you, open source community, to build the other 150 in this list.
All right. So now we can, for example, if I wanted to do that, I could do the list line nodes. you see that that's, now here's the one thing. And so we, let's go over here and let's look at our, let me get rid of this. So now we're done with that.
I think
so
I
took
know
a
where
little,
you're going.
the authentication of this. And so I was fiddling around with the OAuth. It actually has a very simple way to do authentication, which is this personal access token.
Like
so, So what we need to do is in the header, here's the format: authorization : bearer token. I have a token
API key thing. Yeah.
Right. Now, the question is, on this open API imported thing, where do I put that? And so I could do this, I suppose.
That goes into your connection.
Yeah, shouldn't that be a access token in a connection alias? Yes. And then that's the special access token so that you drag into there.
We need to create.
We need to create a connection alias. Let's call it Linode. Is there a? I forget if there's a. I'll just call it Linode. I can rename it later if.
Right. That's the domain.
Leave it in.
I want to leave it in. That's different. That's different than.
That's different.
It's different than the scope.
It's not your application.
And I need a credential, or I don't need a. This is the part that gets me. Is I'm not. Connection alias. I'm going to leave that for right now. Connection alias. Do I have a?
That's what we're building now.
Do I have to?
No, we're building a connection.
Connection.
This is where I tend to run in circles.
I think it's where everyone runs in circles. This is why I wrote that blog post, which I may have to actually open because.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do it directly from in here though. With the pop-up windows and pop-up windows, it doesn't work with related lists and whatnot.
I'm gonna go ahead and just create that.
Okay.
So now a thing exists. It should. Maybe I didn't. I could swear I just created it.
I could too. Our old friend Josh is hard at work making this easier.
There we go.
Okay. So there, because it's not
start with
Linode.
Yes.
It's lots of other stuff
and everything too. Okay.
So then, why do I need a connection URL? Because
this is a HTTP connection.
Right, but I actually I'm not doing anything, right? This is the HTTP.
Right, but what's the part that goes in front of that?
Oh, I need to do the base. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the base is probably whatever the heck this is.
Yeah.
Say that. I'm going to say before. All right. I forgot that everything was relative. So let's do that. So this is my base.
And this is when I tend to go look at their credentials API and actually see what they say should go there. But I'm willing to try it out.
Now, here's the thing is let's save this. Mm-hmm. So we've got Linode. It's got the Linode credential. Did it?
Record.
Yeah, I think it's saved. It just.
Yep, it did.
Yeah.
It's weird with all the pop-ups.
Okay. But now I'm actually going to, let's go look at our credential just to make sure.
Yep. Because in there, you're going to have a connection or a credential record with that API key in it.
And this is, here's the problem. I defined this, I think the one that I may have used, I've got this one that I started to set up as an OAuth, which is not the one I want to use.
Yep.
I may have screwed this up just now.
You can change the credentials on that connection alias.
On the connection, what I'm going to do actually, just so that I do not get confused, I'm going to delete this OAuth right now.
Fair enough.
Because otherwise, I'm going to see the darn thing and it's going to confuse me. Now I didn't tell me it didn't delete my. Okay.
Start with the
Okay, so it does not have a credential anymore because that's probably using the other credential. So we'll create a new one. Now I wonder if I can put that bearer token.
API key credentials right at the top.
API key credential. All right, let's call it Linode. We'll call this Linode bearer, just in case we also set up the OAuth later on
separately.
Yeah. Yep.
What I'm gonna do.
Move that off to your other screen so you can paste it in.
I either do that or Andrew, you want to put the thing up just for fun?
Absolutely.
API spec. Might want to start thinking about what categories we want to put them in, because when you expose those into Flow Designer, you want them in a nice organized menu. You don't just want to say, hey, let's pick an action. Here's the line node stuff, and it's all out there. There might be things for managing A versus B, group them together logically. We haven't looked at these close enough to say, are there any logical groupings? But that's something we'll want to investigate as well.
Okay, so you can put me back on, Andrew.
Yep, you're back on.
Okay, so now what I'm not 100% confident is that this API key is going to do the exact format that we need. So we'll hope for the best here, because what it needs to do when it does this is it needs to do our exact thing right here. And so I don't know, like when we're saying API key,
it's not going to do that, right? You've stored just the key part, so you need to create a header that's authorization : bearer. And then drop in that pill in Flow Designer.
So I'm going to be able to access
on one half and bearer on the other half with that key.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So bearer is part of the value. All right. Let's go into let's get into Flow Designer. So now over
and I
here,
said that super declaratively, but that wasn't
in the headers,
really.
Add a header.
All right.
Authorization.
I am not going to type.
Oh, look at you.
I know Andrew is a big fan of never typing anything like this.
I'm a big fan of never typing a word I've got on another screen.
Well, that specifically when it's like, we went through this with our lab, where we're doing integrations.
You got a space in there. I believe it's that credential value right there.
Bam. That should be the jazz.
Now I'm going to have to do this.
Do me a favor real quick. I want to see if something that was a problem in Madrid is still a problem in New York. Use the data pill picker, the cannonball icon next to that credential value.
You can't see it there now.
Yeah. Okay. It's still an issue.
Yep.
Weird. Okay.
But it does sit over here as the variable credential value variable. Okay. So now authorization. And actually this is the list one. So this one should just work, right? So
famous last words should just work.
Well, this one should just work.
This one should work because this one works even unauthenticated.
And
so no matter what,
another favorite option: test on an action. You don't.
It is so joyful.
Let's go ahead and just hit this guy
an
right
action.
now. Page size. I don't know if I have to.
1 and 1. I don't know.
I'm just gonna say nothing and nothing and let it see what happens. View the action. Here's the output.
Complete.
Here's the step.
That went awful fast though. Let's see.
400 failed. 400.
Oh, it really did. It's not
be
kidding.
Integer.
It's not.
One page size.
Hey,
100.
Those inputs were defined from the Open API.
Were they?
You didn't do that, Dave.
I didn't do any of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Those were defined.
Pay attention to what they tell you to do.
Look at that.
Oh, I thought I saw an error. Okay,
no,
never mind.
This is what we got. This is the list of, and in fact, what we're looking at is we are looking at the actual 2 VMs on my Linode account. Because when I was saying that it didn't be authenticated, I was actually thinking of the wrong thing. I was thinking of the regions and the types. I was thinking some of the basic stuff. This is actually listing this is my account that we're looking at right here.
That's a wrap, boys. Commit to GitHub and
and we're out of here early.
And go home for the weekend.
So given that this joker worked, so now I think we're actually feeling pretty good about this. Is what we need to do. So over on the headers, we got to do the same thing on this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing I did before, because it clearly worked. So I stole my own thunder by saying it worked unauthenticated when it absolutely does not. The one I was using does not work unauthenticated.
Well, pull the token out and see if it worked.
I can. If you really want me to, I can.
I really do. Like,
okay, let's do it.
Let's see what it says when you do that.
Okay, we're going to take out that, and then we're going to test it.
Do not forget the space between bearer and your data pill.
I will not forget that. All right, so we're going to run the same thing.
It'll
look at it. And if we look at the step, we will see down here, invalid authorization token.
Nice.
All right, man. Nothing up my sleeve.
401.
All right. Let's get rid of every execution. So that absolutely did work.
That's pretty great.
That's pretty amazing about how easy this was to stick together.
And this is our first time doing this.
Right. I've never done one of these actual.
We haven't done the open API part. We haven't done a bearer token this way.
The only
new
thing
stuff.
I've ever touched on open API is I took the screenshot for a blog post, and I'd never really done anything real with it. So we're going to do the same thing over here. And now I think I tried
the YouTube one, but I didn't get any further than this.
So we got to pick this so that we get the credential.
Yep.
And bearer, do we have a space after bearer? Bearer, space, credential value.
Make sure there's a space.
Bloop. There is a space. Bloop.
Okay.
So the values I got to have in here are, let's go back over here. For Linode
spec, I believe, will have prompted you for them. Because it did on the list. It created the inputs on your.
But in my request
flow.
body, but these are in the body text. So where.
That's what I'm wondering is.
Oh, here it is. Region and type. There you go. Input variables. Region. No, those are my region variables.
Those are the ones you did.
Those are ones I created. So I don't know.
It created this third one.
Request application JSON, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't know what this is. So we have got to.
Is that what was put in the other one? Go to the list Linode one and see, because
it has page and page size.
Okay,
we didn't.
So it created those and sent them.
All right, the rest of
what
query
do those
parameters.
inputs
Oh
look
no!
like?
No! Never mind. I did. This is what I created.
You created the first two, but you didn't create that third one.
Right.
Yeah. So this might be actually it.
It's not an object because it doesn't know that we support complex objects.
So let's come over here. And so let's see if we can figure out. So this has got to be, if I go over to Linodes,
it's a big old string, and we have to figure out what goes in that JSON.
So the post.
Yep.
I'm presuming this is in
body.
Yeah. In the body.
Oh, so there's your data. We need a backup ID and all that other good stuff.
So everything else in here is optional. Type and region. Okay. So really, we only need type and region. And in fact, let's just use these two. So now the question is,
you could manually construct those rather than getting them from an input.
I totally could put them in here.
Yeah.
This request application.
But when you hit test, it'll prompt you, and then you can. So you just need to drop the data pills in there.
Here's a question. Oh yeah. So it's going to ask me to.
It's going to ask you for the JSON.
This REST step. Does this REST step have an input that I'm not seeing? I'm going to save this right here. Does this REST step? It has connection details, but I'm not seeing.
The step doesn't have any inputs.
I'm not seeing where that would come. So let's just assume I'm going to get rid of their thing. And let's just do a nice. Let's just do this.
Yep. Assuming those are valid values.
Well, I know those are valid because
you lost a quote. You lost a quote on US East.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do though. Is I'm going to do.
Let's replace.
Yes, I'm going to replace those with the pills. But let me hold these for 1 second off to the side, just so I can put the actual real value back in a second. So then what we're going to do in the quotes here is we're going to have the type pill. Mm-hmm. And so possibly there's a way that we could get around this with the.
You have to be very precise with that dropping. And it doesn't, yeah. Yeah, the payload builder is really what you want at this point, but we're doing it.
Oh, well, I forgot. Do I have payload?
You have a
payload
builder.
I think you'd have to do a payload builder step beforehand.
Yeah, you need a step for that.
Let's not do it. Let's just do it this way.
Yeah.
Brute force first.
Let's do this.
Yeah, get it working, and then we can make it nicer.
Now, I'm going to save this and test it. Now, when I test it, it should ask me for both of those in the test, right?
Well, they're mandatory, so absolutely will.
Look. What is this guy?
That's the thing that it wants you to drop in a
so I think what it's doing is
payload that is.
Did I lose you guys? I'm not hearing you.
You muted something.
Yeah, I saw you mute you muted
your audio. Oh, how are we going to tell him he can't hear us?
Okay,
he can figure it out.
Okay, I'm back. I can hear you now. So really, so maybe what we do is we get rid of the region type and we have to do a payload builder, right?
No. Keep the region and type and get rid of the third one because the third one is redundant.
Well,
but I didn't create that. That came
right.
From
that came from OpenAPI. So what it's expecting is a payload dropped in,
and we're doing that ourselves.
And we're doing that ourselves. So you can put nonsense.
I can just put anything.
In there.
I just put anything in there.
We're not using it, so it doesn't matter.
It. But ultimately, if you're going to publish this, you'd want to get rid of it.
Sure, but I want to see it work.
Okay, let's see it work. That was your type. You got it back. The region was like US East 2 or US East. What was it? That's it.
All right, let's do this.
Then you can just drop anything in there. Yeah.
All right, let's run it and see what happens. That, again, gratifyingly long.
It was.
Not too long, not too short. That's exactly what you want in one of these guys.
It's got to be the 3 bears size.
Super friends.
Now, that's part of that. Now let's come over here and let's look at my cloud manager
account and see that you have 3 now.
Like your console.
You could have gone and tested the list one and seen that it responded with 3.
I could. Let's do that. So I wonder actually if this is not.
I'm looking at the payload in there and just seeing if there's anything that jumps out at me that might be telling us what's going on.
Hypervisor enable.
I mean, it's got an IP address and
I thought I saw state provisioning.
Memory and
see, and this may take a second because it may
give it a refresh.
Oh, look at that!
Bam! That's some victory right there.
Oh my Lord, 507. Look at that. So now we got like 8 to 12 minutes
to clean up some house.
Let's go. All right, so that actually freaking worked. Whoa, dude! Now you shouldn't. One of the rules of life that I have learned and have had explained to me is when something you're trying to do works, you shouldn't act surprised. So I should maybe celebrate a little less.
I should. I don't have that kind of.
All right. Tell you what. Let's do. Let's go in here. Let's just add a payload builder step.
You may want to think about making those inputs choiceless too.
So actually, what we really want to do is do a lookup first in dynamic inputs, and then do a payload builder action.
All right,
in this stuff into the thing. So
that's the dynamic. Goal. And now I can't remember exactly where to initiate a dynamic choice list. Do you remember?
That's over in it. That's in Flow. Itself.
Oh, that's going to be, okay. That's not going to be down in here. That's not going to be in
that first.
That's in the outer part of the flow. Okay. So for right now, we won't do that. That would be subsequent step, but let's just do for this guy. Let's do region.
Which is the abstraction we actually want, right? We want to build the dynamic input action to collect the region and types from the user at design time, because those will change over time, and we don't want to know what those are, build those, or store them, or anything like that.
Basically, hard coding them into our app,
and we don't want to hard code them at all. But we do want to, take that region and type as inputs, and then craft a payload that we can send over.
Right.
So our inputs aren't going to change from this action, but we'll enable the user to send us correct ones.
So really and truly what I want here is I want the payload builder payload.
Yes.
And so their thing is still going to be nonsense. We still don't want their thing. So are we going to always ignore their thing no matter what?
Pretty much. I'd get rid of it.
I don't actually even understand that thing.
Well, what it's saying is give me an actionable payload.
Right. You give me the JSON, I'll take care of the rest.
But I don't understand how to I don't understand how to feed anything into that.
We won't.
Yeah. But I don't understand what the role of this. I don't understand what it does for me by existing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it does for me by existing either, other than
in
to say
ServiceNow, nothing.
Yeah.
In somebody else's app, maybe something. I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know how I put something in this. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand how to.
I don't know how to put something in there either.
I don't know how to.
You'd have to paste JSON.
But how do what I'm saying is this thing right here, this request application JSON 19 blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I can have it as an output. I have no idea how to feed anything into it as an input.
You'd have to paste JSON into the input in your action in the flow.
Oh, I see. So we don't want that. So
we don't want that.
A horrible input.
We're ignoring that completely. So we got our nice payload builder. Now I wonder, can we see this input variable?
Let's kill it from the input variables. Just kill it.
So it created it for me, so I can make it go away.
We can make it go away.
Okay. Thank you. Action. All right. Let's save
payload builder, and we put that payload in the rest step. And what are we going to do on outputs?
Let us get.
What do we have to pick from? We may want to.
We probably want. But we don't have the. We'll have to do it in script because we don't have the Jsonparser. So let's get the. Let's do a script step. And let's just do a very simple input payload. Nope. No. Rest step
response body.
Rest step response body.
Oops.
Okay, and then let me run over to our execution right quick and look at our result again. Let's just get, is there anything we care about? ID and
send the IP address.
Name.
ID. Or
something useful.
ID
actionable.
IPv4, which is interestingly enough, it's an array.
Let's get a label.
All right. Tell you what I'm going to do.
Because you can actually put more than one network device on.
Yeah, you could have multiple NICs.
Okay. Let's do this just so I don't forget what we got here. I'm going to paste this in the bottom. So we could, let's say,
outputs.label.
Outputs.
Do you want to beautify that thing so we can tell what's nested in what? Or can you read that?
Outputs.label equal
JSON
equal
dot.
I think it's just.
No, looks like it's just the straight to IPv4.
We need our label JSON badge on that other thing.
What we need is the Jsonparser.
Yeah.
Outputs dot.
You have to spell
IP.
Outputs right though.
Yeah, you got an outpus.
Sounds like a blister has just popped. All right. Outputs. IP. Let's just give it for right now. Let's just give it the first one.
Sure. Okay.
IP equals JSON dot IPv4 0. Okay. Is it actually is it auto completing based on what's the actual? No, it can't be. It doesn't know that.
No, I think it was.
It's auto completing based on what I told it on the left side. And well, was there anything?
Try memory, just to prove the point that it didn't get the.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Taking what you had before.
Was there anything else? Label, IP, ID?
That's enough. I feel. ID. Yeah. Is that something actionable? Can you do something with that?
Yeah.
It'd be something you might want to store on a record somewhere.
I mean, it is this. And so it's, I'm almost certain that this is probably what you're going to do subsequent stuff.
Queries with or things. Okay.
Let's assume that that's the case. If wrong, it's one line of code that we can get rid of.
IDs are always good.
I'm going to guess that that's like the required field on subsequent things, but I don't know that.
Label.
This is having dealt with a kind of a weird API over our workshops. I'm actually really liking the structure of this API. It's completely understandable. It does not in any case violate the principle of least surprise at any point. Let's make them all mandatory. All right, call it good.
I'd really like a button to say sync the inputs and outputs from my script to the inputs and output variables fields. I might build that.
Would be sweet. Okay.
Oh, from the script to the variables.
From the script. Yeah. Like I write my script and then it just populates those two things. And then
Right. You do it up
the
here.
Extra things.
You do it up here, and you've just got busy work of making sure that thing exists.
Right. And I actually just copy and paste them from the script into there because I don't type things.
We're gonna do it one more time, and just make. Oh, wrong thing. Let's get my right thing from the clipboard over here. And give it the same parameters. Here's how much I care about y'all. I am actually running up an actual real bill on Linode right now. I did not tell it. What I hope I did not do is that I hope I didn't just incur a monthly bill. I hope I didn't prepay for the whole month on this guy. Because one of the parameters also is whether it's monthly or hourly.
Oh.
I think.
And you hope the default is hourly?
All right, so let's run the test. Again, a gratifying duration.
I'll send you an extra beer for that.
All right. Stock is at 260. I can live with it. Let's go straight to looking at our outputs.
200.
There's our label.
Look at that.
There's our ID, and there's our IP. I'm calling this success. I am not going to touch this for one more second.
I feel like someone should go and commit something.
Yes.
That sounds like. Now, just for fun, let's go. This guy should have turned green, and there should be one more red one that's provisioning right now. Actually, they're offline. Oh, they're offline because there's probably another. They're created but not running, which is actually.
You didn't tell it to. You didn't tell it to start.
There's probably a start.
That's probably
somewhere
a good thing.
That's a great thing because it means I probably didn't run up any bill. So if we were going to do one more, so I'm not going to actually do the thing. I'm just going to, if we did another one, we probably have a rest step that would be
in the right scope. So don't bother saving.
I'm not going to save this one. I'll delete it. So we would use
line up, second from the bottom.
Just go.
Manually request.
There it is. One. And then let's start, you would think, shut down, reboot, update, view.
Go. I don't know.
Enable, manage, boot. Okay.
Boot.
So we would do that. And then somewhere in here, we would pass it the ID.
Linode ID is one of the
inputs. To see which the
it already created it for you.
Look at that. Linode ID.
Payload.
Fantastic. All right. So there we go. We did need the ID. Take that. All right. So we're going to delete this. We're not going to save anything.
Rename those just because that's a horrible input variable name. But
all right. So all that is good. So we've saved everything. We saved the list. We've saved the create.
We have.
All right. So now I'm going to go over here and I need to get into Studio because that's where all this stuff lives. And you'll notice it created these guys over here.
Yep.
So now I'm going to commit changes. So this is the various stuff that we have created. And you'll notice there's a whole bunch of stuff because we've created the whole Open API spec.
But there's also a whole lot less than there used to be in previous releases because it's grouped, like the whole action is now one piece.
Right. So you'll notice there's 557 files. So there is a lot here, but it's mostly, you'll notice like there's a complex object for all these guys. So they probably created a payload from most of these things that take a post. And so there's a bunch of stuff.
Each of the operations.
Yeah.
Okay. Initial
commit
creation from LCHH.
2009. Oh, you already have the date anyway. Cool.
All right.
That is going to rate suckers.
All right. So now we're committing this, and we're specifically committing this to my fork. I did not commit this back to the main one. And in fact, I don't remember. Oh, gosh. This is my, make sure that this is my repo.
Yes.
I'm going to, hold on a second. That looks too short. I can't tell if that's correct.
It's hard to tell because when they mask it, sometimes it's long.
Because I'm going to assume, and we saw some of this earlier today.
You might want to make sure that's on the second screen.
You're on the shrubbery, so you're fine.
Oh, you're on the shrubbery? Okay. I love the shrubbery picture, by the way.
All right. So we're going to get we're going to get.
The obfuscation shrubbery up for you, sir.
That's perfect.
And what we're going to do here is, because this is one of those things, I have two-factor authentication on as part of the fact that it's required for our
You have to put in your API key Yeah. Yep.
This is the token, and it just looks short. I don't know for a fact. All right, you can take it off. Now let's commit the changes again. Hopefully this will work. It worked enough to pull it down. Changes, please work.
Fingers crossed.
That's getting further.
It's thinking.
Feels like it failed earlier. Okay. So somewhere in there, and I think maybe like when I open it up, somehow I think I just overwrote somebody. Okay. Now we go back into
you go here and you.
So this is in your fork.
Right.
This is your fork.
So
you need to do a pull request.
I got it. So this is like the main one. Nothing has happened on this guy, right?
Right.
So we go, and if we look at the forks, one of those forks is my fork.
Citizen Dave out here says, I have something I want to contribute.
I clicked the wrong thing. So now I am one commit ahead of ServiceNow Dev Program Master. Yeah. So I'm going to create a new pull request.
Pulled pork.
I'm going to create now. You'll notice this has got, lots of weird stuff because as we said,
it's going to have 580 some odd of them, right?
Versioned XML. So in this case, there's like almost none of this is colliding because it's almost all new stuff, right? It was a blank.
Yep.
So now I'm going to just create the pull request. And so from LCHH initial creation of open API spec plus list Linode and create Linode. I'm going to create the pull request. Now at this point, when we go back and look at the source repo, this guy now has a pull request against it.
Yep.
Now this is where like the act of accepting these is a little bit on the fiddly side. So we're not going to go through that because we're not set up to do that. The maintainers of these repos will kind of deal with that. But now at this point, I have created a pull request from my account back towards the main repo. So then the maintainer of the Spoketoberfest Linode repo is going to accept it, merge it in, publish it back. Now myself, how quickly does Hacktoberfest site update, Andrew? Is it like almost
really
immediate?
Fast?
Let's go and see out of curiosity. Let's see if I...
Is that pull request going to interfere with the checksumming?
No, it won't
because it's got a ServiceNow checksum.
Oh, okay. That's one of the things that you're pulling.
But we also have methods to get around that as well.
Yeah, the thing that we have is we have a special application that exists that makes it the pull request acceptor, and it is not taking the checksum and is not doing standard GitHub merging. We're actually pulling in those files like bit by bit and creating them from a new app. So there's a lot of behind the scene fiddle. It is, we in 2017 when Josh and I did this, it was totally, we were the only ones who could accept a pull request because it was not consumerized to get this out. We are actually this year, Andrew has put a lot of work into making it so that people that aren't us can accept these pull requests. So we've got some beta testers of that. So we're opening this up to external pull request handlers for the first time, which is why if you want to maintain one of those 26 projects, you can totally do that. And so you'll notice over here on, as it doesn't align with our core values. Ineligible.
That's just the legend. Yours is pending.
Pending. So I see. I see.
All of them up until October 10th will be pending.
I gotcha. Okay.
4 or more pull requests.
All right. So now I've got 1. You need 5. Now, myself, me, Dave, I am a terrible procrastinator. Awful procrastinator. Hacktoberfest this year, they are taking the first 50,000 people that qualify. So do not wait until October 29th to get your pull request in, because who knows when those 50,000 shirts will be done. What you care about is the shirt.
If you care about the shirt,
get your request in earlier.
Yeah. And so there's a window, and I think the first window is October 10th for it to evaluate whether or not your pull request has been either ignored or accepted. But the most important thing is that it's not rejected. So if your pull request is rejected, then it will not count towards this event.
So now let us go quickly. While we've got a little bit of time, let's go back to all this stuff is up. If you go to the blog post, we've got links to all this stuff, and it's pretty easy to find. In our getting started guide, so we got a little welcome information here. In our getting started guide, tells you what to do. Down here at the very bottom of this, here are, and Linode actually is not even on the list because this is my own addition to our table, because Linode is a personal project of mine. We have 25 suggested spokes, which range from, as we said, so Circle CI, Fun One, Dropbox. Some of these are pretty, like we got Office 365, Calendar, Contacts, Mail. We got PagerDuty, SurveyMonkey. You know, TripIt is on because I totally want to be able to do some of the stuff on my travel tracker from a flow from IntegrationHub. But we've also got Shopify. We've got Stripe.
So yeah, there's definitely a mix of enterprise and fun, and
we got Instagram and
tricky
Facebook
and easy ones on here. So there's a mix to pretty much anybody can find something that will either be interesting intellectually or fun for you to do.
No, there's an interesting no, and that wasn't on the original thing, but we have the one that we've got in flight. And we could, in fact, add ours up to there. We would have to go back. And as we said, this is filtered by the fact that some of these are actually, what we know is that these 25 on this list do not have no one in ServiceNow internally is working on these right now.
Yeah. So I don't think anybody's working on YouTube either. And I know they have an open API. We could have done the same kind of thing, import and get building.
Yeah. And we've got our open API that we started. Before Open API, or we got the YouTube API spoke that we were doing. It's probably worth like starting over and just doing it with the Open
starting over. Yeah.
Because we did it, before Open API, we were kind of painfully doing it bit by bit, and the YouTube is quite weird. So
I'd also like to see how data stream fits into that, because a lot of stuff you do with YouTube and amounts to masses of return payload. Like, give me 50 records at a time. And we've got the data stream functionality in New York that might help out with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you, the ServiceNow developer, want to get involved, this is how you get involved. And so grab a thing on here that looks interesting to you. And from this getting started guide, there's documentation. If you need more help than that, reach out to us. We're extremely easy to find. All right.
All right. Let's switch over to no share.
Cameras.
Bum, ba, da, bum, bum. And I can't even find my Zoom. There we are.
Already on camera.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was really fun, Dave. Thanks for showing that to us today. And
good success.
And that was all. A lot of that stuff was shiny new for us.
Right.
All three of us. So that was great. The things that we wanted to get to really make it awesome. Are empowered with New York, but we didn't have a chance to craft all of that, which is we want to empower those dynamic inputs so that you can feed the correct regions
definitely
into the flow. So we'll need to build an action for that to get those dynamic inputs from Linode. So it will query at design time of building your flow so that you can then pass it in the correct data.
How about this? We seldom call her a shot like this, but why don't we just next week, let's plan on just doing the same thing, and let's work on the dynamic choices so we can see that actually work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Sure.
All right.
That'd be great.
You're not, you haven't left for Tokyo next week. It's the week after, right?
No, I'll be back from Minnesota on Friday, so I'll be here, and then I'll leave on Saturday for Tokyo. So speaking of, we've got a bunch of
Minnesota.
Speaking of Minnesota
and others, it's trip time.
So it is trip time. So we just returned from India. We had a wonderful time there, and spent time in the tech hubs there: Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, and Bangalore.
Let's not forget Vijayawada.
I didn't forget it. I just can't ever say it. and while I'm okay making mistakes on the show, doing a thing I know I'll fail at is harder for me. So that was awesome. But we're back now, but then we'll be on the road again with some of the Now at Forum stuff. Not as much as last year, but I'll be in Tokyo in 9 days from now, 10 days, something like that soon. And then I know Dave will be in Sydney 6 weeks from now. What do you got coming up, Chuck?
Chuck, you're
I've
going
got
to Sydney, right?
Frankfurt, Sydney, and DC.
All right. So Sydney is going to be in again 6 weeks from now. Frankfurt's in what?
Frankfurt's end of October. It's like the 30th, I believe.
So it's like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Three and a half weeks from now. And then DC is early December?
Late November. It's like the 19th, 20th.
Okay.
It's the week after Sydney.
Cool.
All right.
So yeah, hit us up on developer@servicenow.com, get your instance, contribute to open source, whatever projects you want. The Hacktober event is just, it's too much fun not to get engaged with. If you want to do it in ServiceNow, there's some other projects that are open source that accept pull requests during this time. Ours from last year, the points thing bots for Slack, we'll still accept them. Jace Benson, is that his last name?
Yes.
I hope I didn't.
Who not coincidentally is the organizer of the Minneapolis meetup.
Of the Minneapolis meetup, which I'm
go.
going to go do a hackathon at next week. And we'll be contributing to open source projects then. So lots of alignment there. It also has some projects, especially one around ATF that will accept public pull requests. But contribute. We all grow as we all contribute. You can learn something from everybody, and someone can learn something from what you did. So do that.
The whole notion of like being able to do the Hacktoberfest and accept the pull requests happened because in 2017, middle of October, like October 10th, Josh Nereus and I went to GitHub Universe in San Francisco. And as we were in there, we thought, I wonder if this is technically possible. And we spent we were there for 2 days, and we spent the second day paying no attention. We went to talks. We were mostly on our laptops trying to build because we knew if we ran into problems, we had GitHub people all over this room.
Proximity of experts was really high at that point.
we actually tried to, but we were originally going to build this out with a GraphQL query, and it wasn't working. And we walked over to essentially like the same kind of to ask the experts lounge that we have at Knowledge. And we said, hey, this isn't working from GraphQL. And they said, oh, that's not implemented yet. And we're like, all right, thank you. That's exactly why we're doing this right now. So anyway,
cool.
We're getting much earlier start on it, and super fun. Last year in our Around the World Now forum trip, I made an 18-hour stop in Bengaluru, India, went to a restaurant, and another dude in the restaurant was wearing a Hacktoberfest shirt. So it's super fun. It's worldwide, and there's no reason to not contribute.
All right. So to wrap up with the beers, I'll go first in our traditional style. My Carolina Amber from Fortnite. I've had better stuff from Fortnite.
Before we leave, was there anything from the chat we needed to address?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
325.
All right. 325. Okay.
My Jacobson approximation, I'm giving this a 3 3/4. That includes the quarter point success factor.
Sugar Shack Maple Stout. I like it. If it were 40 degrees colder here, it would be that much better. I'm going to give this, I'm going to give it a 4 with the bounce.
Nice.
4 with the bounce. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. This has been a distinct pleasure. We got to try out new cool stuff, and we're successful, which isn't a normal combination.
I think it's a statement to the platform myself. It's like,
bear in mind
how it wasn't a statement on us.
Bear in mind how little we actually did, right? We had to fiddle with the Open API specification, partly because Linodes is screwed up. They have syntactically incorrect stuff in their Open API specification. But other than that, we have 100 some things that we can play with at will, and we didn't create any of them.
If it weren't for that script step, if it weren't for the script step, I was going to call shenanigans that this is actually a live coding happy hour.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. And we'll see you next week where we're going to work on the dynamic inputs because we've already said we're going to do that.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.